this is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. We are back. My earring, I think, has fallen, but it is well. We are back, and welcome so much to my channel. If you are watching this for the very first time, or if you are here for the very first time, karibu sana. I personally welcome you with so much love. Kindly stay to the end of this video and even stay to the other videos that will come. Please remember to like, to subscribe, to comment, to share, and also to hit the notification button so that you can receive a notification every time a new video comes up. If you've been here from the very beginning, or that you joined us somewhere halfway and you decided to stay, you're a real blessing to me, and may the Lord truly bless you abundantly. So today we're going to continue with Deuteronomy, the chapter that goes after the one that we finished last, which was chapter number 31. So today we are going to be covering chapter number 32. I'm laughing because I really was trying to not finish this book because I was hoping that Moses doesn't get to die, but I've made peace with it, and here I am to finish the book. So let's just get into Deuteronomy chapter 32. I will not be reading this chapter word for word as I usually do because it's long and it's just a song. I don't know if you guys remember in chapter 31 where God instructed Moses to teach the Israelites a specific song. So in chapter 32, it's actually just the song. It's like a long poem. You can actually take time and just read it for yourself, but I'll be doing a brief summary of it and then sharing my lessons at the end of the video. So this chapter is mainly, as I've mentioned, a song that God instructed Moses to teach the Israelites. The song starts off with a few words of praise, saying that God is the rock and foundation of all things. Everything that the Lord has created is perfect, that He is faithful, and that He can do no wrong, which is true, and we completely agree. It then continues to mention that those who are corrupt are not the children of God because they bring Him shame. That these people who do not appreciate, these are the people who do not appreciate the things that God has done for them. Ask yourself, do you appreciate the things that God has done for you? I hope that you do. I certainly do. The song then speaks of the older days when the Lord delivered the Israelites from Egypt and led them out of their suffering. It narrates how He guarded them, how He shielded His loved one and chosen people and gave them an inheritance that was set aside specifically for them, which is the promised land that they're about to get into. However, the song also records that the people got drunk, they got fat, and then they sinned. I like that. Motaratara. They got drunk, they got fat, and then they sinned. They abandoned God and made Him jealous by worshiping false and foreign gods. And because of this, the Lord rejected them. He was angered by what His sons had done, and He says that they are a nation without any sense. The song then ends with a warning for the Israelites of the tragedy that awaits them, a tragedy that is about to come and find them, and the consequences and of their disobedience, and finally how God will again rescue them from this tragedy, that God will not just leave them to just face the consequences for the rest of their lives, that God will actually rescue them at the end. So when Moses is done reciting the words of the song, he wants them to be quick to obey the Lord. And basically that is a summary. I say that at the beginning that this chapter is mainly just the song. It's a long song. It has very many verses. Kindly just take time and go through it by yourself so that you can learn a little bit more about, more than just the summary that I've given you. But let me tell you what my takeout is. I find it very fascinating that the Bible records that the Israelites became fat and plump and then they abandoned God. Let me read for you the actual verse and what it says. This is found in verse 15 of this chapter, so Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 15, and I'm going to be reading it from the NLT version, and this is what it says. But Israel soon became fat and unruly just means wild, and the people grew heavy, plump, and stuffed. Then they abandoned the God who had made them. Let me just repeat. But Israel soon became fat, they became unruly or wild, the people grew heavy, plump, and stuffed, as in were mejaja. Then they abandoned God who had made them. You see, the thing is, when I read this verse, the first thing that comes to my mind is how I I just blew up like in size. I became this plump girl when God elevated me financially. Let me tell you guys, when I was selling SIM cards on the streets of Nairobi, when I was walking from South B to town, from town to Dagoretti Corner, and back from Dagoretti Corner to town, from town to South B, I was thin. I was this thin person like this. I was like this. Let me tell you, when God elevated me from that life, see the results. I am here looking plump and fat and stuffed. But like we can blame genes, we can blame age, we can blame metabolism on the fact that people do gain weight. And there's a very big difference from when you're young to when you're a little bit older. But we cannot deny that actually people become a little bit plump, a little bit, firm, a little bit, like coming on a round face like this when they are elevated financially or when they're elevated in other ways. We cannot deny that. It's like how men gain weight when they get married. I've never understood that. I don't know whether it's finally because they're getting proper meals and they're not eating, ugali and mala. And they just gain weight and they become these plump men that now they have nyamas on them, and it's just like, you are like this just last month, now see yourself because you got married. But the question remains, is it possible that we abandon God immediately when he exalts us from one place to another? Is it possible that we abandon God when he has blessed us? Is it possible that we abandon God when he has answered our prayers? Because this is what basically the Bible is saying, that the Israelites became plump and fat. This means that God had blessed them. God had, bestowed on them good food, and they were not slaves anymore, so they were probably not doing hard labor, so they were more relaxed, more chilled than they were when they were in Egypt. So they became fat and plump, and then they abandoned God. So the question is it possible that we abandon God when he blesses us? Is it possible that we abandon God when he exalts us from one glory to another, or from one place to another? Is it possible that we exalt God when he answers our problem, he answers our prayers? Sorry, I wanted to say prayers. When he answers our prayers. No wonder the Bible records that the Israelites got fat, plump, and then they abandoned God. This was after they had received their blessings from God. I've said this before, and I will say this again. God is not a pair of gumboots. He is not an umbrella that you can just, use when it is rainy, when you're having a dark day, when your life is just rainy. Rainy is not cute. When it rains, it's muddy, things don't necessarily make sense, it's cold. God is not a pair of boots or a pair of gumboots or an umbrella that you only use when it's a rainy season, and then immediately the days become sunny and your life is all nice and everything seems to be making sense. Now you're completely blessed. You're just like, you umbrella, bye bye. You gumboots under the bed or under wherever it is. Okay, me in our shags, people used to put them under somewhere. I don't know, kwa store, uko chini. Like it's just under somewhere, like thrown somewhere. God is not a pair of gumboots, and he's not an umbrella that you just. For me, my umbrellas actually get lost in the car because I put it in the car and then I don't know where it gets lost until it's a rainy season, and I'm like, where is that umbrella? And then I start looking for it in the car, start looking for it in the house, and I'm just like, I just can't figure out where it is. So that is not how we are to treat God. My prayer for you and for myself is that we will be counted as those who get fat, plump, and we will not abandon God. That we will not be counted as those that get fat and plump and then abandon God, but we'll be counted as those who love God, those who obey God, and those who have a good relationship with God, an intimate relationship with God until the end of our lives. That we will be counted as those who recognize God recognize God as our Lord in our lives, in the good days, on the good days, and also on the bad days. That is my prayer for us, that we will be counted as those that recognize God, that love God, and obey God in all our days. Whether you're having a good day, whether you're having a good season, whether you're in a space, I like to say I'm in a space, whether in a good space or in a bad space. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore.